Alex, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So today is the third episode of Conversations with Guests. Very nice place that I can have the opportunity to meet like-minded people that can bring some wisdom to our daily lives. And the previous one was Mr. Sam Williams, but now we have the opportunity to meet Alex in more detail, or Alexander Nielsen as his full name.
Exactly.
So could you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do nowadays?
Yeah, well, as you said, my name is Alex and I live in Sweden, southern Sweden, and I work with a lot of things. So my schedule is always filled up with things to do. So I work with on a chemical factory full time, and then I'm doing some strength training with clients as a strength and conditioning coach. And I think that's the biggest things at the moment. Yeah, I have some smaller things as well, but that's like the things that defines me, I think.
How do you manage to fit in both personal training coaching and the chemical factory? Is it like you do this more like outside of work as some kind of like weekend activity, or how do you have you structured it, so to speak?
Yeah, so I work a shift at the chemical factory, so I have those weeks where I'm not there at all. So I try to fit in as much as possible on those days, and then I always have like after work as today when I speak to you. So actually, there's heaps of times if you're not watching Netflix all the time.
Yeah, we can discuss like how to do time management, since you are apparently quite proficient in getting both of them to work. So I guess if we could talk a little bit about your strength coaching nowadays. So what does it consist of really? Is it like one-to-one personal training with clients, or is it more of a group setting, or how does it look?
So I work with some other trainers at athletic sports school, and we work mostly with athletes. So everyone from like elite level down to like high school students that want to be elite, and so that's the main client group, if I said so. And then we work one-on-one with those athletes, and we focus mostly on strength, because I think that's the thing that we are experts in. So mostly like strength training, and to me that involves everything from like really heavy strength training, you can say powerlifting, like bench press and
Barbell, deadlift, etc.
exactly, and it's all the way down to like sprinting. I call that strength as well.
All
So
right.
it's a pretty wide concept, but yeah, that's the thing that we are experts in.
So I
yeah.
can imagine that you're a part of some kind of a larger organization, that many of, what could you say, athletes do it as some kind of spare time, but also full time, as I can assume that the elite one does. And you get the opportunity to basically contribute in a larger setting. Is that the case?
Um, yeah, if I get you right, you mean like for example, there's some division one soccer
Yeah.
players
Oh, yeah. Okay.
that we train, and so they have their main training with a team and with their own strength and conditioning coach, and then they can come to us and get like a more holistic training, if I say so,
Yeah.
and maybe a more long-term thinking.
Okay.
Because if they train with us, we can. My colleague trained a soccer player here in Helsingborg, and he's been moving around. Like I think he's in North America somewhere in a club there now, and he's been
Okay.
in Munich, and he's always been training with my colleague. So that's if they stick with her, they can get like a long-term plan for everything. But when they come to a new club, they always get like new directions and things. So I think that's a big thing for us.
Okay, cool. So it's nice to have some kind of familiarity during the process, which is more of a what could you say, personal development, both from strength side, of course, but also from like identity aspects, who you really are and how to basically shape your life in a very good way. So what would you say is most fulfilling aspect? Is it to see people grow, or is it to kind of have some kind of expertise where, okay, I can assess the situation right now and like evaluate the progress later on? What inspires you basically in that position?
I think it's just to be with there in the environment with all those people that want to be best. And yeah, I think that's a motivating. If I just go down to our facility and sit there, it's so motivating, and I can go home and work with my in front of my computer for yeah, a long time with that motivation. And I think that works with, and not only with the athletes, but for example, I work with my colleague that I mentioned before. She's a lot down in Malmo in southern Sweden, and doing some sales training with salespeople, and those want to be the best in the world as well. And so I think it's exactly the same thing, because if I go down there with her, I surround myself with people that want to be best, and that's so motivating. And yeah, I think that's the most fulfilling part with strength training as well.
Yeah, and it's nice to kind of, you can pretty much feel the atmosphere, or like this endless drive of, I want to become the best, I want to reach a certain milestone and stuff like that, and how they're strategizing both in terms of nutrients and
Yeah,
different kinds of diet and stuff like that. So I guess
yeah,
it
exactly.
comes down to the whole package and how to basically optimize every single minute.
Yeah, we are just working with like the training part, but for example, my friend that's also she's training in the same place as we are, and she's going for the Olympics.
Wow.
And she's always talking about
Yeah.
everything, like sleep and everything. So that's so motivating as well.
Does she use a fitness tracker? Like, is it common where you are that people are, what you say, having this kind of accountability from a digital standpoint too?
I don't know actually. I don't think it's common, but yeah, maybe some have it, but I
Yeah.
don't think it's common.
So, well, it's interesting, but I want to digress a little bit to your background. So, you
Yeah,
mentioned that you're from Helsingborg, at least had some connection to the city. So, could you walk us through a little bit how it went after what we in Sweden call studenten, which is
yeah,
high school graduation? What was the path that led you to where you're at today?
yeah. So here we go. Uh,
Here we go. Our first part.
um, so when I graduated high school, uh, I uh, I wanted to go to Australia and study fitness down there.
Mm.
So first I just worked a year, actually on the same chemical factory as I am now, and just to get some money. And then I actually moved down there and studied. And as I told you before we started, is that my speaking English has always been very bad. So that were like, yeah, the biggest thing in my life so far when I moved down there without, yeah, knowing English that good. And so that taught me a lot. So I stayed there for 2 years, and it's one of the best fitness educations in the world. So I became a personal trainer and a strength coach as work as now. And I learned a lot of English as well. So then I moved back, and I started to work as a strength coach, and I've been doing that part-time ever since. And that's like, yeah, it's almost 10 years now.
Okay, so
And yeah,
cool.
and in 2017, I decided to get a real education, if I say so. So I started at a university here in Sweden and studied exercise biomedicine. So that's like the thing I studied down in Australia, but more theoretically. So, and I'm actually still doing that. Hopefully I will be done with it this summer.
Okay, so now you're telling me that you're both one, or actually three things: one, doing the strength training; two, doing the chemical factory; and doing the studies. That's what I like to hear.
But I have I have to say that the studies are I'm not put it in that much time in it. It's a 3-year education, and I've done it in 5 years so far. So it's a slow pace.
Yeah, but still, it's like you got progress on either dimension, so to speak. So that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So I want to touch upon Australia a little bit, because
Yeah.
last time I was there, it was back in 2018, and it is such an amazing place. When I
Yeah,
was
it is.
in Melbourne quite a lot, but also a little bit in Sydney. So could you tell me a little bit on where you were, and how you found Australia to be helpful with all the mates, so to speak, and what your recommendations are when we can actually travel again?
Yeah, so I lived on Sunshine Coast, and that's about maybe yeah, it's a bit north of Brisbane.
Okay.
So it's on the east coast there, and I reckon that's the best place to be if you're going to Australia. So the whole east coast there is amazing. And yeah, so I lived there for 2 years, and I were traveling uh, yeah, I think I were like everywhere where you want to be as a tourist as well. And yeah, I have to say that yeah, you said you were in Melbourne, right?
Yeah, I was
Did
there
you,
for like 2 weeks.
yeah, did you
Back
go
my stay.
to Great Ocean Road there?
Oh, I don't remember. I don't think so.
Ah,
Actually, I was mostly in the CBD area and just roaming around.
okay, yeah, but that's, I would say that the Great Ocean Road, that's a road between Adelaide. I think it's all the way up to Adelaide and Melbourne.
Okay, I don't think I was there.
So that's amazing. So that's one place I would definitely go to if I'm going to Australia again. And then the Ella Beach and with Sundays, the yeah, the Great Ocean. No, uh, yeah, the reef out there, and
The Great Barrier Reef.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So yeah, those two are the two things I would recommend for sure if I'm
Okay.
going to Australia.
And I can understand that it's quite hot in Brisbane too.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So so how did you like find the opportunities to, because I guess that you had some context there and you basically moved into some kind of training environment, so to speak. But was it easy to get like housing and all things related to like basically having the optimum cost of living, so to speak?
Well, actually, there is a company in Sweden that helps students to go to Australia.
Oh,
And
okay. What's it called?
yes, International Business School.
Ah,
So
okay.
they actually helped me with everything. So yeah, where I should live, and they helped with transfer from the flight to my apartment the first time, and they helped with the school, and they helped me with everything. So that was really helpful. Yeah, in the start, because yeah, you don't know anything from the
Yeah.
beginning. So that was amazing.
So I recently been through this kind of transition phase when I went to Poland now after
Yeah,
being in Sweden. It's like, of course, you have the more what you say similar language when you're Australia, but it's still some kind of like you don't know where you're going, you don't know where basically what you're going to do all day
yeah.
long, so to speak, and how to
S-
navigate. So
So you
that's
just moved there, right?
I've been here for quite a month now, so it has been settled down, and I will explore a little bit more in terms of yeah, both day life and nightlife. Been to a couple of meetups already, so
Mm,
trying to get a hold of the local communities there, so to speak.
yeah.
So
Do
yes, sir.
do you live in a bigger city or? Uh,
So you can say like there is three cities in one particular spot, or at least very close to each other. There is
yeah.
Gdansk and there is Gdynia at more northern, and in
Mm,
the middle there is Sopot. I'm living in Gdynia at the moment as of this recording, and I find that it was so far. I mean, it's winter, so I haven't really felt it in true blossom compared to Australia when it's summer right now. And I'm more of a beach person, but it's pretty nice though. I mean, I live very close to the city beach, and
yeah.
I go there twice a day in order to basically get some stimulus both from nature and having some reflections on what to basically proceed next in my own venture, stuff like that. So far it's been a good experience. Of course, I have to learn a little bit more of the Polish side as well. So I guess that's something I need to work on as well.
Yeah. Do
So
they speak good English or? uh,
um, if I have to be truly honest, I have had some many instances in which the English wasn't really that great between us in terms of the communication. Of course, some has been quite understandable, mostly from the more
mm,
younger side, so to
yeah,
speak.
that must be so hard to, because since you're
Yeah,
not,
it is. It is.
yeah, you can't speak Swedish with them as well. So
Yeah, it's basically English or nothing. So,
yeah, exactly.
so I want to come back to, because you mentioned that you are doing three things at once, and I've also been very fond of how to basically fit in as much as possible in a short amount of time. So, what could you say is your best time management strategies? You posted, as of this recording, a tweet, I believe, in which you showed off the home screen. What I found very particular was both like all the different vignettes. I'm very fond and truly recommend the calendar vignette. And I guess that's one of your tools in order to have all of this somewhat in sync, so to speak. So could you tell a little bit more how you manage all of that?
I think that ever since like 2015, when I first got interested in like personal development and productivity and those things, I've been looking for like small things to improve or uh, automate. Oh, yeah,
Automate?
yeah, automate. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and I, most things are like, yeah, obvious for me because I've done it so for so long. So it's hard to talk about some things. But for example, I'm doing my Sunday routines every Sundays, and that's one thing that helps me be more productive throughout the upcoming week. So in my Sunday routine, I'm doing all the things that that I have to do, but it's not getting me any further. So like cleaning, and I'm cooking, and going and get my groceries, and all those things on Sunday. So I don't have to think about that at all during the week, because I want to think on like better things in the week.
Batch them together in one particular location.
Exactly. And I plan my week every Sunday, and I think that might be the best thing, productivity or time management tip I have. It's to just sit down for, it don't have to be that long time, but sit down and actually think about what you will do the upcoming week, and it get you get more clear in your head or mind about what you are going to receive during the week. So yeah, I think that's the best tip I have to can give you.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And one of my most influential, what can you say, literature, book works, or whatever you can call it within the productivity space, talks about like the true importance of weekly review and weekly planning, stuff like that. It's like the master key in order to get all this to work. So you probably know which book I'm referring to. But,
Getting things done.
Yes, the OG, so to speak. What other books? Because I guess this one will be at the top. But do you have any other influential sources? And it could be podcasts or other kinds of medium as well. Would you recommend to people who basically want to get their act together and start living their best lives in a productive fashion?
Yeah, I have to mention, like, I think he's my mentor when it comes to all those things, and his name is Ludwig Sundström. So he's a Swede as well, and he has written a book called The Ultimate Commonplace System, and I think that's the best book it might not be the best book I've read, but it's the book that influences me the most, because it got me to do all those Sunday routines, for example, and structure my whole life. And and all his work is amazing.
It's in English as well. I just checked it out, and it had some topics which like work from your phone and stuff like that. So there is some
it's amazing. And I think his blog is start gaining momentum. So I really think all the listeners should check that out.
Yeah, and I will link it in the show notes as well, so you can have a look of a hidden Swedish gem all out in the woods, so to speak, and probably in the snow, depending on where you live, depending on that he lives, rather. But I'll leave it for now at that place. So that's pretty cool. I haven't heard of it before, so I'm always on the lookout. That's why I like asking the question, like, what books are inspiring you, and do you have any other favorites? Like, it could be outside of productivity as well, something that you define you. David Goggins?
No, who's that?
It's an elite trainer that, and I mentioned him because you are doing the strength training, stuff like that. That's a book I can recommend to you. Probably can link it off. It's called "They Can't Hurt Me." which
Oh,
is truly transformation. It's more of an autobiography of a person who basically overcame all limits and did whatever was quite impossible for us mortals in terms of physical
okay.
feats.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But when it comes to like strength training and all those things, I'm more into reading like really boring things that I wouldn't recommend lots of those books, but yeah, there's one book that it's probably my favorite strength training book. It's called Super Training, and it's a tough book to get through. But so I think since I already have the background there, uh, I'm reading a lot more in depth now. So I I actually can say a book right now that I would recommend for people that want to read about strength training or training at all.
Yeah, that's
So
good.
they should go with your book.
Yeah, it's they should probably couple them together, so to speak. So I want to switch topic a little bit.
Yeah.
When I say sheep 30 for 30, what do you say then? Could you tell us a little bit more?
Yeah.
And for
So
those who listeners who don't know what sheep 30 for 30, I will elaborate on definition, or maybe you can do it.
yeah, hopefully they listen to your previous episodes, and
Yeah,
I
I hope
guess
so too.
you talked about it with
Yeah,
Sam and Andy as well,
but
right?
just a brief reminder.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a code-based course about writing. So the idea is that you should write a short essay about 250 words every single day for 30 days. So, and yeah, that's the idea of the course, but it's so much more than just writing, because yeah, Dicky, who's the one of the co-founders of the course, is amazing on audience building, and yeah, he's just amazing on everything. And
Polymath,
yeah,
as we can call it.
Cole as well. That's the other co-founder, and
So
they
terrific.
yeah, so
12,000 words per day. That's
they teach us like about procrastination and all those kind of things. So actually the writing I've learned during that course is like the least most beneficial thing that I learned. So yeah, it's amazing. And the absolute best part is the community. So I met, for example, I met Sam that visited you last week,
Yeah.
and yeah, we decided to do Twitter Spaces every week together, and yeah, that's so amazing because you meet people that you would never meet otherwise that share the same interests. So me and Sam are so yeah, we share the same interests like Stoicism and writing and all those things, and we help each other, and that's just one of my relationships I've made since May last year. So I have like, I don't know, by now lots of people I know through that course. So yeah, it's an amazing course.
Oh, nice. So it was May last year that you went for it, and then it's basically like 9 months in that you're still keeping up the community aspect, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. So they have first the uh, 30 days course, and then you can go on and be a part of all the other cohorts, and there's some things in between cohorts and things, and so both me and Sam are part of that. So yeah, so
Okay.
yeah.
Because I heard that you kind of transition to an alumni position or some kind of advocate for it. Could you tell a little bit more of what that means and how we can expect for you going forward if people are interested?
Yeah, so that's the part I meant. So after the cohort, they offer you a yearly membership, and it's called the captain's table because it's like ship, and so yeah, it's the theme, and then you can choose to be a part of all the other cohorts. And if you're part of those cohorts, you can be a alumni captain as well, and then you are a part of the crew that helps every new shipper. So I'm a part of that. So for example, this January, when the January cohorts were, I helped, maybe I think it's about 20 of the participants. So I helped them with everything that, that I know people would want since I've done it before. And for me, that gives me great relationships and an easy way into their knowledge, right? So yeah, that's great.
That's so cool. So I guess that you will be active during the upcoming March cohort too.
Yeah, I will.
Because I've actually heard this like recently. I started to write before I heard about Shift 30 for 30, but I decided to kind of take ship because of like the community aspect, stuff like that. So I look forward for more collaboration later on if that's the case. So that's nice.
That's amazing.
But how did you find about this what you say, amazing community? What was it kind of like by accident, or have you got the referral, or how did you find it?
Yeah, actually, I in about March or April, I started to see Dicky, so the co-founder of the course, on Twitter, and I really like his content. And then I saw all the essays that people were posting, and I really liked the concept. So then I were hooked and just went for it.
So what did you learn in terms of like writing and stuff like that? And how is your writing today? I guess it's more of like cultivating your own perspectives on like life philosophy and stuff like that. But how has it affected your craft, so to speak?
So I wasn't writing that much before the courses at all, just like in work and those things, so not that much. So I can't really say how much I've improved, but well, I can't compare my first essay that I wrote with my recently published ones. And I think everything I've found my voice in terms of like how I want to tell stories, and I found my niche, and I found how I want to format the text. And when people thinking about writing, I think most people are just thinking about the formatting part, but that's just one part of it. So yeah, it's all those other things I've mentioned, and yeah, so I learned a lot about those and
you have
improved
some
them.
kind of a system, note-taking system as well, so you know like what to expect before you actually sit down and craft the idea, so to speak.
Yeah, so I have it, and that's a part of the commonplace, as I mentioned before, the commonplace book by Ludwig. So I have ID bank since way before, and So, and then I tried, when I first started, I made a list of everything I wanted to cover. But when I started to write, I found myself to just go for what I want to write about when I sat in front of the computer. So I almost never uses my ideas that I've written beforehand.
More of a
So
spontaneous act.
yeah, exactly. And I found I think that's different from different people, from people to people. But for me, uh, yeah, I think it's work better for me to just go with a motivation when I sit down, and then I always have like thousands of ideas to just look up, and if I don't have anything that I on top of mind that I want to write about.
So it's nice that you have this capacity to just write on the fly, so to speak. And I guess that's something that is cultivated and trained during the 30 days, stuff like that. So what are your best ideas, or rather your best tips for people who, first of all, they should join Shifted for 30, but other than that, how have you to offer them in terms of actual sitting down to write, both in terms of mindset and techniques and tools and other kinds of frameworks?
Yeah, so um, in terms of tools, I use a program called TypeShare. So I'm writing all my texts in there. Yeah, and there's a free plan as well, so I think people should check that out. But my optimal framework that I'm not always going through is that I sit down on the evening and write, and I call it I brain dump. So I just open up a new sheet in TypeShare, and I'm writing everything I want to cover.
Stream of consciousness.
Yeah, exactly. So, and the rule there is that you should never hit the backspace. So yeah, and then I go up the next morning and sit down, and I try to format the text and get rid of the things that are just blah. So yeah, so I sit down for a certain time and format the text, and then I try to doing some copy to like both the headline and I publish everything on Twitter, so I try to do a copy in the tweet as well. Yeah, and then I publish, and then it's time for the evening again.
And
for
for
new essay.
all of us who
Yeah.
reads this as well. So that's nice that you kind of separate between the more, what you say, creation phase versus editing phase as well. Do you do a
Yeah,
lot
and
of Yes,
I
sir?
think that's an important thing to do the creative things in the evening and then sleep on it, because you
Yeah.
will get a more clearer thinking about it, and then you can sit in the morning and have a more clear picture of what you want to tell the audience.
Yeah, exactly. That's how what I found also have been working for me to basically outline a little bit when being more, what you say, loose state of mind, when ideas can just, and association can just flow, and then sit down. Because once you sit up in the morning, most people write in the morning anyways, you find out like, okay, here is how I actually want to frame it, and have this kind of like, I guess they are in a way framed by the ideas that you had in the evening, and then the subconscious has been worked out, so that, okay, here is how I actually go to phrase this, and then you go to be this and go to this, and there's my point of view there, and there is an exclamation mark and a bolding, stuff like that. So all of this comes in very good place.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally agree.
Do you do a lot of journaling too when you're doing the outlining as well?
Yeah, so uh, I've done um, I've done a thing that I call daily lessons since about 2015, and so there's uh, I I answer a set of questions every day, and that's like my takeaways from the day or observations, or it can be what I'm grateful for. And so it's a set of questions. But actually, the last couple of days, I've tried a new thing, and that's just I set a timer for 10 minutes, and I have a book or notebook, and physically with just pen and paper, I'm just no rules, and I'm writing whatever is on top of my mind, and that actually helps me a lot more than I thought. So I'm doing two kinds of journaling right now, both the
Okay.
structured one and the no rule one.
Yeah, it's good to have like both because I guess that they can generate different insights depending on if you have a more formal structure versus more rigid structure, that you get some kind of like various inspiration sources, so to
Yeah,
speak.
yeah. So actually, before I said that my Sunday routine were the best tip I had, but start to do uh, a structured way to uh, journaling, because that will that will at least it has helped me so much, because all my ideas are there and all my mistakes are there, and then I can try to get better at everything. And that's I've done this and since 2015 or 16, and that's like the most impactful thing I've done in my whole life, I think, because I'm constantly improving myself, right? So that's I think everyone should do that.
Nice. And speaking of improvement in journaling stuff like that, let's talk about your favorite topic, which is Stoicism. What does it mean to you, and how do you incorporate it in your daily life? All this wisdom from Seneca and Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus and whatever, whatever great minds are out there, both alive and dead.
Actually, it's a very new thing for me, believe it or not. But uh, I'm I've read about it since way before, but it's like first this year I've tried to uh, go down the rabbit hole of Stoicism and learn a lot, and I think it's a great way to see all the obstacles in life, because you you're not focusing on what you can't uh, uh, what you can't what you say um,
Focusing what you can control. Is
yeah,
that what?
exactly,
Yeah.
control, yeah. Yeah, so you can't uh, sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, yeah, you're focusing on the things you can control and not the things that you can't control. So I think that's a great way to see everything in life. And uh, so I actually started a new cohort-based course. It's just a, a couple of hours a week, but it's with an other Stoic on Twitter called Michael McGill, and he's he's taught me so much there about tools that you can use throughout the days and when you are uh, getting obstacles in your life and things like that. So yeah, well, so it's a new thing for me, but I'm really like the way that Stoics look watch the course of life. So I think I will go down the rabbit hole even more.
What are some tools that you heard so far from this course that have helped you can recommend?
So one example might be negative visualization.
Oh yeah,
So,
premeditatio malorum or whatever they call it.
yeah,
So
so that's, to give an example, it could be like if you get corona, that's a great example nowadays. Then you can then you can just close your eyes and think about uh, people that almost are dying in corona, and then you open up your eyes and you just have an easy illness from it, and that makes you feel better, right? So that's one tool you can use in whenever you feel bad about anything. That's the tool I can come up with right now.
have you tried the more extended version? Because one aspect is like, okay, now you actually have to live as if you were the poorest man on earth. I believe it was Seneca who popularized it, but basically have yourself confront the reality of this. This is the worst thing that can actually happen. And you see, I'm still alive. Have you gone so far, or do you plan to do it at one point?
I haven't actually thought about it that much, but I don't know. But do you know the Buddhist monk Björn Lindeblad?
Yeah, he passed
This,
away quite
yeah,
recently.
exactly,
It's very
exactly.
sad.
So I've listened a lot to him, and so he went he were like he went to uh, Handels in Stockholm,
Yeah, it's
the like
university.
business,
Yeah.
business school there, and were a pretty successful in like financial or something. I don't know exactly what he was, but he was pretty successful. And then he went to the forest in Thailand to be a monk there.
Okay.
And so I've never thought about it myself, but I think that's a really cool story from, like, because he took that decision that you said, that he just gave away all his assets and all things and moved to the forest in a temple in Thailand. So, and he turned out pretty good. So I think I think it's definitely not for all, but many people would benefit from uh, going down, take down all the luxury that we have nowadays, and go back to more basic things of living. Because I think all this social media and all those things are more stressful for you than it gives you. And so that's an example that if you go into the forest in Thailand, in temple there, you won't have access to all those things, and you don't have to be that extreme, right? But I think it's a good way to thinking, that try to like live more simple or minimalistic, and cut out all those stressful things in life that you don't have to do, right?
And you can still do deadlifts in the woods.
Yeah,
You
exactly. You
still
can
get the
lift a
good thing.
tree or something, or another monk.
That would be nice. So speaking of these natural spaces rather than more contrived spaces, let's talk about Twitter spaces because, sorry for transition. So by the way, you mentioned that you and Sam were doing these Twitter spaces. Are they like public? How often do you do them? Because I'm personally very interested to join. So if you could tell a little bit more about what you discuss in these
Yeah,
occasions.
so we did a Twitter space every Sunday during the January cohort of Ship 3430, and we were helping all the other chippers and talk about like obstacles or everything about the course and how to improve everything there. So that's the focus then. And then the cohorts stopped, and I talked to Sam, and we decided to do Twitter Spaces about Stoicism instead. But we have had a break right now. So, but we will start a Twitter Space every Wednesday in, I think the first week will be in 2 weeks. And yeah, so we haven't talked about it that much yet, but we will talk about Stoicism in some ways. Maybe we have a special topic for the day and talk about that. And yeah, and I think Twitter Spaces are really good for that, because it's not about me and Sam, it's about me and Sam and all the audience and speakers. So it's more like a forum, if you say so, and everyone can discuss. So me and Sam are not the wisest people there, and
are you sure?
yeah, maybe Sam. But so for an example, when we did the Ship 30 Twitter Spaces, there were always really good writers and people with lots of more cohorts in the bank than we had that joined us as speakers, and they shared their experience with everyone. So I think that's the best part with Spaces.
Nice. And I look forward to when you're initiating this again, probably either next Wednesday or the Wednesday after that, because it would be cool to get into this, what you say, audio forum, so to speak. So as the last question, or rather second to last question, as I always say, is this common question that I ask to every guest, which is because me at the Total Living is all about like effortless, sustainable, and unstoppable productivity and living for everyone. So what are your tips on creating your best life, both now and in the future?
Oh, that's a huge question.
You can repeat. You can repeat. You said so. Go,
yeah.
so you can just summarize what you said so far.
Yeah, maybe I think like the thing we talked about now in the end here with Stoicism, that's so I really like that way to look at life. So more like control what you can control, and not the things that you don't can control. I think that's the most important thing to focus on if you want to create a good life.
That sounds like a very good answer. So where can people find you? Other places than Twitter, or primarily Twitter?
I would say Twitter.
More.
I would say Twitter. I have some other like a LinkedIn profile, but I'm not using it. So I would say Twitter. I share everything I do there. So Twitter is best.
And links to Alex Twitter be in the description, and you should of course give him a follow if you want more stoicism and personal training, both to strengthen both your body and your mind. So with that, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time off doing all these 7 part-time jobs, whatever have you, in your daily experience. And once again, thank you so much for your participation.
Yeah, thank you. It was so amazing to talk to you and get to know you a little bit better. So I really liked the hour we had here. Thank you.
Thank you so much.